Travis Wayne Goodsoe. Hi, listening to Ambrosia, getting flashbacks. Also, I'd seen an episode of NCIS where McGee got reunited with his old flame, and so they get to bring Delilah back into the show. Delilah's awesome. But I've told you guys a long time ago that I do tons of videos per day, which is a tactic that I used on Amazon, which is effective. It gets people aware of me and reaches a broader audience. About Beth from kindergarten, and how that resulted in combining my mom's throwing the Sears catalog on the kitchen table and having us kids do collages from it, and then me making the discovery of that creature called woman and wanting to be a fashion designer. And then playing with my younger sister's Barbie fashion plates. And I recognized in the 2000s, while I was starting a collection of VHS tapes turning into DVDs, that a major theme was women in distress, overcoming and conquering the distress. It wasn't so much knight in shining armor stuff. It was the woman conquering. Gwyneth Paltrow's earlier movies, for example, and several others, I noticed that I had a particular interest in. And come to find out, that's the exact same reason why I've had an attraction to Mormon women. Believe it or not, is having been abused in my own family, as my parents wanted to follow Lucifer's plan of happiness for me, and all I wanted was a Pepsi. If you don't know me by now, I use a lot of movie references, a lot of TV references, commercial references, song references. And so if you didn't catch on to the Pepsi one, that's Suicidal Tendencies. And that was the difference between my education and my brother's education, because we're complete polar contradictions to each other. How I've told you how his inability to see distance prevented him from getting involved in sports, and so he pursued book reading and pursued his parents' plan of happiness for him by going on to get a PhD, as he's now, last I heard, was working for the church, trying to find those of us who are trying to escape the Mormon church. So that's what a PhD got him. A valedictorian, high honors student. Yep, he works for the church, tracking down those who want out. You know, what a wasted life. Whereas me, I come up with classics like Silly Rabbit, Tricks Are for Prostitutes. That's my joke. If you've heard it from someone else, they got it from me, they need to give me credit. You know, when you watch R-rated movies, you'll learn about certain things. Like pulling tricks. That's what it means. Oh. Turning tricks, I guess. And so, my education, even though he went into sociology to get his PhD, as he gave up on zoology and geology, he decided to go for sociology. I took a sociology of religion class once. So I am aware of why the University of Michigan was not happy with his BYU education. He instead pulled the religion card on them, and so they caved, gave him a PhD, and passed his thesis. But I saw in the women at Rick's, where I first was able to get away from home. Rick's College was a refuge for us who were Mormon. Because Rick's wasn't BYU. And as such, it was a place to still stay in the church, but stay away from the hardcore church. And it allowed us to breathe. And we were able... Rick's was, I guess, one big social... they call it social networking online, but a social AA group. I don't know what it would be called, because technically they aren't very good, because it doesn't fix any of our problems. We eventually have to leave Rick's, graduate, or move along. But I realized a lot of women were hurting, as much of my learning was about the women who have suffered, not just from the entertainment I watch or listen to, but actually experience. And Calvin and Hobbes, gotta give credit to Calvin. And if you don't know Calvin, and if you don't know Hobbes, it's the creator specifically used those names, as they are famous philosophers. And so his comic strip was a philosophical discourse in that sense. And Calvin's the best. I mean, you guys probably only know Calvin by the decals on the back of some bully's truck where Calvin is peeing on something. He's got that snicker. He wasn't peeing, he was filling up a water balloon. People turned it into him peeing. But Susie Durkins, I remember her name. Wow. I don't remember Calvin's last name, but I remember his girlfriend crush, as he could never admit that she was a girlfriend crush, because he's just a little kid. And so as a little kid, we tend to mask our feelings by being abusive to women. Not me, of course, because of Beth, but I saw it in other kids. And yeah, so that's why the boy burnt your ponytail. It's because he loves you. I know it doesn't seem like it right then. He's just having a hard time processing his feelings for you. And that's part of the problem in the church, is that the church does not allow us to process the information from the church. They purposely withhold information from us. We don't know the true history of the church, as the church keeps lying to us. And even when people find information out and publish a book, it's still incorrect or incomplete. And the church, gives in, okay, fine. We'll call it your opinion. The two rocks and a hat. The church is finally allowing one rock, and it's all nice and shiny and polished. They just can't tell the truth. And that causes harm to Mormons. Mental, emotional, intellectual harm, as Mormons are being gaslighted by the church. And women are especially abused in the church because they're women. Church's origin with Brigham Young was to extort women to come with him or stay and die without any man to take care of them. So they were forced into polygamous relationships or forced to be sealed to Joseph Smith if they didn't want the polygamous relationships, so that at least they could get taken care of and have their children raised. If a certain Hiram Smith was assassinated under the orders of Heber C. Kimball and Brigham Young. I never did get to that video, did I? Tragic tale of Joseph Fielding Smith Sr. And so the women in the Brighamite branch off. And if you don't understand branch off, if you're a Mormon listening to this, or even if you're an ex-Mormon, you're going, branch off? What? There was a succession crisis. It has a whole Wikipedia page. The church can only withhold certain information. They can't withhold all of it. And so there's some information that is scattered among different characters in different places. So you have to look up everything for every single person, every single location, every single event, until you put all the pieces together. But the ordained women was a natural consequence of the church's abuse towards women. That's what protesters and resistance fighters and rebels, that's how they get going, is you have an abusive leadership and people want a revolution. And because the church is a white supremacist group, you have the NAACP constantly reminding the church, you've got to be sensitive. The LGBTQYIAO plus, quit adding numbers, guys, letters. They keep coming back, hey, you need to be more sensitive. You have protect LDS children. Again, and the Jews, stop baptizing our Holocaust. They just don't learn their lesson. They don't care. They're white supremacist. They don't care about the poor. I mean, yes, there's this last week or two, there's a whole ton of church news about how the church is donating. But if you read carefully and you throw in the math, you realize they're not doing anything. They're not spending a single penny of the money that they're hoarding. And what are they hoarding it for? I mean, what is their ultimate goal? To just collect trillions of dollars? To what end? Because it's just going to be more and more tempting for people to want to hack into their computer systems and steal it all. Sort of like what Russia did. They can steal it at any time now. The church, or Russia, used the church to use the SolarWinds company as a Trojan horse to hack the whole government and all the rich people in the world, including the church. Devil does not support his own. So the church can think, hey, we've got a deal, we're keeping our end. It's just, Russia's just hedging their bets to make sure that we comply. We're fully going to comply, so there's no worry. Yeah, no. When they have no need for you, yeah. But, the church thinks that they're the big powerhouse. Yeah. But I'm going to be in surprise if they don't get their little kingdom of Deseret when Russia takes over America. But that's their problem. And so I am deeply concerned for women. And there's nothing I can do when somebody is deeply brainwashed. Because anything you say is immediately met with a brick wall and a hostile response. And you guys know, if you've made it this far in the video, you don't know. The ones who clicked on it and then ran away, put a thumbs down, they know. But I've always been honest in my life. And I've come to learn that women don't want honesty. They say they want you to be honest with them. Right, women? Are there any women left? Nope. You want to be flattered, pacified, and deceived. Just like Lucifer's plan of happiness. The woman formerly called my second ex struggled the most after she divorced me and found out that I had been kicked out of the church She couldn't believe that Bishop Hammond had extorted me to go to church only if I stopped publishing my translations showing Joseph Smith as a translator. She couldn't believe it. She was in denial. She constantly has been asking over and over again, do you believe in Heavenly Father? Do you believe in Jesus Christ? Do you believe in Joseph Smith? Do you believe in the Book of Mormon? And I keep telling her, yes, just not in the way you're thinking of it. She can't understand. She can't make that connection. Her brainwashing is severe, just like regular Mormon women are. She is a regular Mormon woman. And she insisted that there had to have been some justifiable reason for the woman formerly called my first ex to leave me, to take my kids away, to get full family and church and law to support her, and leaving. She didn't get a divorce. She just left. And so hate it when it doesn't comply. And so it's frustrating to try to communicate with people, to tell them the truth, and they still don't believe it. That they believe that I'm the one who did something wrong, that the woman can never be wrong, that woman can never be abusive, the woman can, and she's probably trying to justify her leaving, trying to find some fault in me so that she can justify why she left. But she's the one who left. I keep reminding her when she keeps trying to come back and she wants to date. No. We were married. We had sex. I saw you naked. You can't fool me. I know you. And she wants to start all over. She wants me to get to know her. I know her. In a relationship, a guy should never, and a girl should never likewise in return, ask about their partner's detailed life, of all the girlfriends that they dated, all of the relationships and stuff like that. That you don't need to bring any of that up. The two of you are now together. You wanted to have a relationship, to be together. You start there. You don't dig into the past so that you can use it against the other person. You're just going to destroy the relationship. And so I never would ask her about her past until she insisted on bringing it up, because she wanted me to know her. I know you by spending time with you, because Calvin and Hobbes allowed me to recognize human behavior and thought process, belief systems, simply by watching and observing people. And so that helped me in movies and TV shows and commercials, as I'm able to see how the characters are presenting themselves in certain circumstances and situations, the facial expressions and the reactions. And so I have to bring it up. What was it again? So if you've heard, I watched Castle. I still have yet to finish it. I'm halfway through finishing, getting caught up on NCIS. Naked, there it is. Naked Punishment. And we're near the end of the video here, so you guys get rewarded for staying this long. That's, if you notice, that's how it's done in my videos. The cool stuff is at the end. And so nobody knows about the cool stuff in my videos, except for you who are now listening. In an episode of Castle this past week that I was watching, I know the characters very well. I've watched her, Kate Beckett, her facial expressions, her reactions to Castle, her reactions to others. I know her. I know exactly. And so when she says something in the show, Castle likewise says it at the same time. They seem to be in sync. That's part of the show's chemistry for the character development. And I too am like Castle and am in the same mindset. And likewise with Castle. As I know Castle. I know his behavior and how he thinks and such, because I'm into the show. It's a favorite of mine. Not the best, but a favorite. And so there was an instance where Kate breaks up with Castle, and the real reason is because she's gone undercover, doesn't want Castle to be brought into it. And so she has to pretend like she broke up with him and she's, taken a sick leave from their relationship. And Castle is kind of hurt, obviously. What are you doing? And so it finally comes out. He figures out what she's up to. And so she comes clean and he calls her on it, as rightly he should. You should have trusted me, so that we could have worked together separately, but together. And so then they started doing that. And while she was trying to explain herself and apologizing and feeling like dirt, and I'm going, you need to be punished. Naked punishment. Castle then speaks and says, naked punishment. I busted up laughing. It was hilarious. I know the show so well that this one thing that they were thinking, it had never been brought up ever. I knew the show so well that it had to be written that way. And sure enough, I knew the authors. So, yeah. But Kate likewise, she has been tortured, and that's why I like the show, is because I feel for her, because I'm drawn to abused women because of Beth back in kindergarten. And so, yeah, that's why I like Mormon women too. But it's sad to have gone through 2 marriages where both women could not deal with their abusers in the church and took it out on me. And so, yeah, it crushes my heart. Because I didn't want to be separated. I didn't get married just so that I can get divorced. Why did they give up so easily? And it's because of the church. The manner of abuse that the church puts on people. They literally become their own worst enemy. And I see that in ex-Mormons as well. I see the women who have left the church still carry that animosity towards their patriarchal abusers. And they literally pass it off to me and other guys. And so it's discouraging, because I have no one for a dating pool now. Can't go to Mormon women, and can't go to ex-Mormon women. I have nobody to relate to. I don't have Ricks anymore. But even Ricks, it wasn't solving anybody's problems, but it was a place to hook up. Although a hookup nowadays, I guess, means having sex. Seriously? But definitions change as time goes by. So yeah, lonely. Listening to Ambrosia. I can also listen to others. That's the thing about being a high school kid in the 80s, is that I had seen at the beginning of the 80s the cliques, the musical cliques that were forming. You had your country, you had your new wave, you had your pop, you had your hard rock, your glamour rock, punk was beginning to emerge. Rap was kept under wraps, as I learned that the radio stations purposely suppressed rappers from the radio. But Dr. Demento, I'm still trying to find that one skit song of a samurai who eats raw fish and heflepa. I can't find that. It's not anywhere. If anybody knows where that is, help me. Link me to it. Provide me the video link or whatever. I want that. It was on Dr. Demento. I know that much. But, no. It's not fish heads. Because when I search for it on YouTube, it always comes up with fish heads. Don't want fish heads. It's not fish heads. It's a samurai. He eats raw fish. Heflepa. And just can't find it. So, alrighty. So yeah, it's sad that I don't have women in a high percentage, or at least equal percentage, on my channel. That concerns me, but I understand why. It's because I don't fit your 5-year plan, or I guess millennial plan, eternity plan. I'm not the one you're looking for, whether you're Mormon or ex-Mormon. The woman formerly called my second ex keep debasing herself to justify me leaving her by saying I need to find somebody smart like me, somebody who likes Egyptian or Hebrew or whatever. Just tell the truth. Quit being like the church and lying and covering up what you're really wanting to do. You don't love me. You don't want anything to do with me. Or you're wanting me to change and I'm not changing for you. So just be honest with yourself and leave. Quit trying to convert me, because I can't be converted when I know the truth. I can't be gaslighted. Alrighty.